I do, however, want to point out that the adaptation finance needs of developing countries are 10 to 18 times as great as the international public finance flows. That's more than half that's more than 50% more than we thought that it was when we began the study. This is significant because someone needs to pay for adaptation. Let's be very, very clear. We have moved past the point where we are arguing about the science of climate change. That's not the critical problem right now. And I'm not saying that climate science isn't important. The critical problem, however, is not proving whether or not climate change is happening or will happen. That's not really the crux of the concern right now. The concern is who's going to pay for it. The concern is how are countries, particularly the most vulnerable countries, going to be able to adjust to it? That's what the crux of the debates are. That's where the negotiations are. It's not about, we're not arguing about if this is happening, if it's not happening. That's a side argument that a few still seem to really want to have, but the majority of the community of nations have certainly shifted their focus to discussing the economics of climate change and the politics of climate change. Those two areas are really the crux of the focus right now. But what we're seeing in terms of who's going to pay for this, we're seeing an adaptation gap growing to as large as $366 billion per year. And there's a reason for this, right? Adaptation finance actually decreased, and this was within the context, just to be very clear, this is within the context of countries promising to increase their adaptation finance flows after the 2019, after COP26 that happened in Glasgow. You already remember that COP meeting. Countries came together in Glasgow and said, well, we're going to increase our funding, and decided we're going to increase adaptation finance support around $40 billion per year by 2025. That's what they said then. Right now, in 2021, it decreased. That should concern everybody, because the changes that we need to see happening, they will cost money to implement. So when it relates to the planning and implementation side of things, what we're seeing right now, as I mentioned before, is a plateauing in terms of progress on adaptation planning and implementation. But it is good news, as I said before, that 5 out of 6 countries now have a national adaptation planning instrument, right? But we need to get to full global coverage, and that progress is slowing. That progress needs greater support. And where we're seeing some progress actually happening is with regard to adequacy and effectiveness, right? So countries are, and this is good news. Countries are focusing a little bit more on how how adequately the adaptation policies cover adaptation risk and the effectiveness of the actual instruments to cover those risks. They're focusing more on that, which is good. We need a lot more focus, however, on implementation, right? So all is not lost, because we do have some progress.